on April 17th. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seriously, do you want to do a roll call?
Sure. I don't botch it. All right, let's take a roll call. Dorothy Johnson.
Here.
Pete Schultz.
Here.
Rod Charles.
Absent.
Marie Powers.
Here.
Catherine Colvin.
Absent.
Grace Carey.
Here.
Bryce Clark here. Leanne Nouse.
Absent.
Kelsey Cook.
Absent. Okay, any public comment on non-agenda items? No? All right. Consent agenda 5A, approval of the proposed agenda and approval of the March 2023 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion as long as there's no corrections. I second that.
Okay, 5C and D, the police report and the code enforcement report.
We need to vote
I don't think there's, on the police
on
report?
it. Like yea and nay for the
Approval of the agenda.
approval of the agenda.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes, please. Okay, roll call to approve the meeting minutes and agenda. Or yea and nay, excuse me, yea and nay.
Yeah, Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Clark, yes. Carey.
Yes.
Okay. Now, approval of the police report and code enforcement report.
Make a motion to receive and file a police report and a code enforcement report.
Second
That's also yea and nay? Okay,
All in favor?
all right.
that. All in favor?
Roll call for yea and nay?
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Carey.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Clark, yes.
Agenda item 6A, financial statement and revenue expenditures report.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial statements and revenue expenditure reports and obtain of the bills in the amount of $10,921.59.
I'll second.
We need a roll call.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Carey.
Yes.
Clark, yes.
And topic 7, the DDA reports versus the executive director's report.
Yep. So, great month. We have, the focus of this month was really these placemaking projects that are in full swing. And we're just going over the budget for these projects. But we also got to present in Boston for the Stronger Together presentation. We had quite a few things with Main Street and Oakland County this month, from statistics due for the downtown and managers meetings and some training classes. So it was a busy month. Worked on the TIF and then finished the budget and worked with the village on that. We had a couple ribbon cuttings this month and also a ton of movement. Just I had 6 business owners just walk through the door today. So just a lot of meetings and people, all good things, but people that have new ideas or they're wanting to be a part of more committees and things like that. So it was a really good month. We also did a little bit of work on the TIF with the county, and I'm going to talk to you guys about that later on, but I have a couple of questions about moving forward on that. But overall, just busy.
Great. I have a question, Tony.
Yeah.
Is the Boston meeting available on video anywhere?
So they didn't put that on video, but I do have the presentation that we did. So if you wanted to see that, I'm happy to send that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 7B, the org committee?
Okay, yes. Dorothy and Brad Jacobson and Rod Charles and myself met. We did discuss the TIF plan, basically discussed rewriting the whole thing and going through it, and at the same time we talked about if it's not broke, don't mess with it kind of a deal upon recommendation from Oakland County. part of the thing is this year, once it's done, then we have to go to all the taxing authorities and plead our case to them, basically to agree so that they don't opt out. And we felt that if we were to cut it back too much, it would be too simplistic, and so that other people, when I'm begging you for money, and I just give you a one-page article or a one-page sentence or something like that, it wouldn't look that good as if it currently does, where it's a little more flowery, a little more involved. So the entire board committee recommended to keep it pretty much as the way it is, just updating the dates on it and going through the events on it, that portion of it. We did review the budget, and obviously it's already been presented to the village and everything. We had quite a bit of talk on the trolley as far as going forward with it. The question we had was, last I knew, our main sponsor had not committed yet, and you guys were.
We got the
looking into-
signature yesterday.
From the same people?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
So that was discussed, and also we had some brief discussion on getting the lift fixed for it, and then also for ongoing project on the roads.
Yep.
That was it.
Okay, the next is the ED committee. Kelly, could you move to that one?
Yeah, sure. So, EB met and we went over a lot. I was having a meeting with Business Forward, and that Isaac ended up staying for part of the EB committee, and we were just kind of all collaborating together. But it was a great meeting, just going over kind of the goals from this past year and where we're at, looking at everything. We feel like what the EB committee is doing is, it's working. We're focusing on grants, we're getting through those. We're going out and meeting new businesses. We did talk about the trolley a little bit. They put some pressure on me to get the commitment from the sponsor, and I guess it worked because we got the commitment. But we also talked about making sure that the trolley is branded. So that day I went out and took additional measurements and chatted with Molly. So that went to production, because we had let Lake sit with it prior to that, and it just wasn't getting done. So we put that into motion, making sure that that was done. We also talked about the White House district area. So all of those White House buildings that are south of town. Studio 117 and Simple Organic. So Heather and Amy had come to me maybe 2 months back and asked, okay, if we can get collaboration from everybody in that area, can then we bring that to you and collaborate how to tie them into the district? Because they're a part of the district, they just don't necessarily feel like they are. So they've been working really hard. They've set up a Facebook page now that we've been able to promote easier, because we're not trying to promote all 15 businesses down there, but just one overall. And then they've also been setting up some events that we are trying to either advertise on our Facebook page, or when Don Rush from the paper popped in this week, we were able to talk about it as part of DDA overall. And then the other part of this is trying to figure out, okay, how do we, if we can get these placemaking grants that we know are coming up, how do we tie that into that area down there? So those were all the things discussed. Really great brainstorming and opportunity, and then also putting on our hit list just where we're going to meet in the future. So we're going to start to meet at the newer businesses in town, making sure that we're spreading it out. So Fletchy's next month, we'll probably eat while we're there, so y'all can come if you want. But just trying to really engage some people who maybe haven't been just in our group lately. So really good meeting. We missed you, Grace.
Just a comment on the branding. The branding will include both the Lake Orion and Oxford DDAs as well as
Yes.
the sponsor.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that will all be part of branding them.
Yep.
Okay, any questions or comments? Promo committee, is this?
I can take it.
All right.
So we met at Evergreens, got some coffee, talked about Saturday Earth Day coming up and the spring cleanup that we're gonna be doing, flower beds, mulching, touching up on paint. concerts in the park and farmers market, there's a lot of discussion about that and about how we can promote it using Facebook ads this year as well. Not that that those are a failure by any means marketing wise, but we can always be better. And we just had a lot of different ideas going around the table using QR codes for Google Maps lists to mark all the businesses in town. And we discussed putting up a booth. I forget exactly where that was. Do you remember, Kelly?
At the market.
At the market,
Yep.
okay. Yep, and putting up all the businesses that are kind of flyers at that booth and a large QR code that'll link to the website, showing all of those vendors on the website as well. So that was pretty much it. You talked about letterboxing as I was walking in.
Yep. So letterboxing is going really well. Compared to even last year, people are starting to catch on. We're starting to have people from further out, and they're leaving comments back on the letterboxing website about some of the places that they visited, which was really neat. They mentioned Homegrown, good things about Homegrown in there. They must have had lunch at Homegrown. But it's really neat to see, people who have never even been to our downtown, and this is what they came for. So it's really, really cool to see those things. And then Summer Celebration is going to be that June 22nd day, and that kicks off the whole summer concert series. Summer Concerts is all buttoned up and in great shape. We ended up getting sponsorship above and beyond, so we didn't even have to use the remainder of our budget for concerts this year. And I mean, everything is well planned, and we'll start to market everything. Earth Day, we're looking at rain for this Saturday, so we're just kind of keeping an eye on the weather, because if it does rain, we're gonna move it to May, just because we can then plant flowers and do the spring cleanup day the same. So just kind of watch for that.
Great, very much. So I've seen a social media post which then prompted me to be aware of it, but the signage is up from like Christmas and stuff.
Yes.
Yep, so we actually talked about that today, because I was like, hey, but Kimberly is working on the new concerts in the park poster that'll take that spot. But she said, she's like, for the meantime, she'll just run and take those down, and then we'll pop in the concert ones. We're also going to have to redo the social district maps on the other side, because Village Council this past week did extend it into the park.
Okay.
So then we will also be redoing those, so those will both come out of there.
Don't forget to extend it behind Williams Archives too.
Yes, did they move the sign yet?
I don't know.
Okay.
Someone brought it, so
DPW
I don't think
was-
so.
Okay, so DPW knows to move that sign to the end, so
Okay.
for sure. It's actually on the maps that it does include all that, so, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get that taken care of for sure.
Anything else? Design committee? Anyone here for that?
So design was fun this month. So we had Zoom, and then Oxford's power went out, like everybody in Oxford on Thursday. So it kicked us off once, then we got back on, then it kicked us off again. But we had a call out to the public to try to find some new members for that committee. We have 6, but we felt like with the placemaking projects and everything, we just have so much that we were trying to look for some people who maybe, just new. People on that committee have been there for years. So we had 8 new people attend, and just super engaged. I knew a couple of them once we popped on to Zoom, which was neat to see, and one of them was really interested, not so much in design, but she's like, hey, the spring cleanup and events and things, so she's actually gonna come to promo committee. But the remainder of them were really engaged with design, so we talked a lot about the placemaking projects. We talked about community cleanup. We just gave kind of an overview of committees in general in case design wasn't a great spot for them. We didn't want to lose them. And then really just when we got kicked off, we did delegation of tasks and things, so we had follow up in email. But it was just nice to have new people who wanted to be a part of what we're doing.
Yeah. questions or comments? All right, the next agenda topic is unfinished and old business, 8A, placemaking projects.
Yeah, so I was originally just gonna give you an overview of the placemaking projects, but then Joe gave me this, did we make copies of that today? Do you remember? Is that in there? Do you guys have the sheet? If not, I'll pass it around, this small spreadsheet. So you should have the map at least in there that shows the parking lot in the back of red maps. So yes, yep, Marie, that's it. So what happened is we met with Birmingham Seal Coat, the folks that are doing the archways, NES for the underground gas lines, woodworking, plumbing, all the things for the projects to try to start in the back of Red Naps and then the one in Victoria's. When we got to the back of Red Naps, there is that transformer there, that's DTE. There's no way to be ADA compliant coming around that corner, walking up that pathway. So Ryan from Birmingham Seal Coat said, Cal, if you're gonna do this parking lot anyways in the fall, the best thing to do would be to take that curb out. You're not losing any spots, you're losing a portion of the loading zone that they don't even need. And what it does then is it extends that sidewalk out, and now we're ADA compliant in that area. Usually we wouldn't go to this until the parking lot project that's slotted for the fall, but because they're gonna do this project, we don't want the sidewalk to not match. Even if it's 6 months apart, you're gonna notice a difference in color. So the thought was to go to Row, have them design this portion, extend the sidewalk out, pay for the engineering portion now, and then they can do the sidewalk project because they start next week, and then whatever then comes, whoever wins the bid for the parking lot will go on and do the parking lot. So that was the cost that Joe brought me today. So under placemaking projects, I was originally just gonna kind of give you guys an update, but I thought, you know, if we wanted to, you can either vote on the extra engineering, which is $5,700 now, and we can say it's part of the placemaking project because it is gonna take place right now. So I know that the amount is not on there, but it's still under an agenda item. If we try to wait until the fall to do it, it'll be a little more expensive and it won't match as well. When they pour it, it just makes sense to pour it now. So that's it's a $57.95 and 75-cent engineering drawing to go back in and recalibrate all of that space, add in the ADA compliance.
So you're basically pulling ahead, or asking to pull ahead.
Yeah, you know, so it's one of those things that it's in the budget already. It's just more so I would like your blessing just to move forward with this and expand it. So we already are budgeted for the money. I mean, the money is there. It's just a portion of it.
So is it extra?
Well, it's extra for in the engineering portion of it. The sidewalk and what they're doing back there, it's not gonna cost us any more with Birmingham Seal Coat the way that they're doing it, because they were gonna rip all of that out anyways. So it's more so just the engineering cost that's the extra. On the different note, some of the additional things for the project are, we went back there because of the two-tiered structure that Les Thomas is building in the back of Victoria's. They poured the footings this past week. We need to wait until the fall to do all of this cement work. So the T-Mobile grant is not gonna take place to the fall. Reason being is if they go in there and they do all of that flat work and then they try to put in that two-tier structure, we're gonna have a problem. So it puts us back 2 months on that project roughly, because we were already planning to do the NAP squad portion first, and that does start next week. But they were gonna finish that one, then go directly to Vicky's over there, so we're pushing back about 2 months. But that's why we had Les Thomas out there meeting with all the other contractors, their teams meeting, because we wanted to do it right, so that's where we're at.
What was the amount again?
It's $5,795.75.
Any discussion before we try to frame the motion? No? All right. I'm not going to do the motion, but I just want to make sure I understand it.
Yep.
So we would be asking for approval to assign $57.95 towards the engineering costs of the back of Knapp's project, that quadrant.
Northeast parking lot,
For the
yeah.
park, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is basically a pull ahead of the funds.
yeah.
So the additional funds that are required would be that full amount, or is there a portion of that only that's the
So
additional
we
amount?
slotted out for the engineering in the project because Ro's been doing all that engineering.
Mhm.
So the $57.95 is not something that we counted on, but because we budgeted for more than we know it's gonna cost for the parking lot, that's the fund that I'm bringing out of.
Okay, got it. Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I will motion to approve the costs for additional engineering plans for ADA compliance of the Northeast Parking Lot placemaking project in the amount of $5,795.75 with Row.
Second it?
I'll second
Okay. 8B is the TIF plan.
Do we need a roll
Oh,
call?
sorry, yeah, roll call, yes.
Johnston,
Yeah.
Schultz,
it. Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Clark, yes.
Kelly?
Yeah.
One question before we move away from there, the area behind there. The other transformer that's there behind the realty place there, where it's almost tipping over and rusted, has Edison been contacted to come out and do something?
Yeah, yeah, so on that one, because we were also trying to get a hold of them on the one that was sitting there saying, you know, make sure this is being used. But yes, they have on that one too.
Okay.
Because we have one on the south, let's see, on the other side, behind, is it Angie's, I think that's tipped too? Or Casa on that side, that is in bad shape too, so both of those.
Okay, because they take a long time sometimes to get
Yes.
out there.
Is there a way to relocate those? Do they have to be there?
Well, so that's what we were hoping to relocate that one, but if you look at the parking lot on the northeast, because I had this conversation with Joe this week, is those other boxes are right there too, they're just further into the parking lot. He's like, the best you could do is slide it over there and it still wouldn't be ADA compliant. So, and then that huge one behind Knapp's, we're trying to figure out right now with DT, we've been in discussion with them. Okay, if we build some kind of structure around this, how many feet do we have to go outside of that?
Mhm.
So that's kind of what we're going through right now. They want us to be 3 feet out, but then it also has to be accessible. So, we're looking into like, almost like a gated thing that's open on top where we could surround it. But this one, we couldn't do that because there's not enough space to even do it.
Any other discussion? 8B, the TIF plan update?
Yeah, so with the TIF plan, Pete gave you a little update. I did chat with, because it's more time intensive than I think I even thought. I did ask Tim Colbeck this week if he thought it would be a good idea for us to maybe put our tech dollars towards a consultant that would help us to finish this and make sure that we're buttoned up and we're doing everything correctly. So he wasn't able to get me the recommendations by tonight, but we did talk about it. He said that we could put the $7,500 tech grant towards it. He didn't think it would cost more than that. But it is an option if we do go that route. So some of the things that I found is that going through all the wording and things like that is taking the most time, where I've also been spending my time trying to talk to some of these different government bodies and entities, making sure that we have their buy-in. And I just feel like I'm more valuable doing that and spending my time on that than, tediously going through line by line on a document that's not even in Word format. Like we have to retype the 88 pages from a PDF. Yeah. So, not that we have to go that route, because I'm still happy to, get it done. We're still in good shape. I'm following the work plan that Lake Orion had provided to us. But I did chat with Molly a little bit, and they had a consultant come in and just how valuable they saw that as they went through the process. So I'll probably not wait until next meeting to kind of send you out and give you guys updates on this. Obviously, we don't need to take a vote before next meeting or anything, but I'm just gonna kind of update you guys along the way with what he comes back with after I talk to a few of these consultants. And then maybe you guys can bring me your feelings to next weekend and next month, and we can go from there.
Okay. Thank you. All right, 9A, new business, the budget for 23 and 24.
Yay, such a fun thing. I will tell you, this is year 3 for me doing the budget, and this has, it didn't feel as daunting this year, that is for sure, because now I kind of know, what you guys expect and where we're at. So we did a really great job these past 2 years, just getting sponsorship and setting as much aside that we could. So when we looked at the budget from what would be transferring, is we have $862,000 that would be in that fund transfer. So that's if we didn't collect anything next year at all. 300,000 of that is our T-Mobile grant and our Consumers Energy grant. So we kind of have to look at that as just an in and an out. So that leaves us with the 562, and roughly for the rest of the year with what bills have been, we're at like 52,000. So we're doing really well. We have a good savings. What I would like to do is look at that kind of that savings, or that what we'll transfer in as our parking lot fund for the Northeast Quad, because we want to put aside roughly 300,000 for that, and that gets us there. And then still we have a pad of 200,000 to take on more capital improvement if we wanted to. We do know at this point, and I don't want to name names or anything, but we might be missing 30 to 50,000 out of people who are not coming back in to renew that TIF so far. So we also want to account for that going forward. Now, we under budgeted almost like 50,000 this past year. We collected 50,000 more with taxes and back tax and things like that. So I don't really feel like it's going to hurt us as much, but I just wanted to be cognizant of that moving forward, and just kind of have a plan for that as we move forward. So you'll notice on the budget that everything is very similar to this past year, right? We didn't move any large sums of money. We didn't add any crazy events. So you're gonna see that most everything stayed the same. Our numbers maybe for, electricity and things like that went up through the village, because obviously just things in general are up. But the only significant difference that you're gonna see is the parking lot project on there, where most of those funds are going. Everything else is pretty much the same. They did condense a few of our numbers as they switched over into the new numbers. That 248 is now the start of our numbers, but everything that we just condensed events down, so that you didn't have to look at every single different event. You're looking at one event overall. It just makes it simpler as we go throughout the year. We still do have our bond, our debt service in the 70,000 range. That's actually a plus as we move into renewing our TIF, because knowing that we're still having to pay this off, it's a good thing when we look at it. So, but overall, you know, I think we're in a great place. We're, in the green for sure.
Great. Questions or comments on the budget? Okay. Do we have to approve it?
So I would like an approval for this. I mean, technically, right, we're gonna take it to council and council's gonna approve it. They did have these numbers in their council packet this past week, and looked at it already. But, you know, I would feel better if we kinda got your blessing and then we could take it to next month for them.
Anyone care to make a motion?
Make a motion to recommend for approval the 2023/2024 budget, is that the right way? I have presented.
I'll second.
Johnston,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Clark, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to mention too that
Yes.
Weckle has started the parking lot. If you didn't see the first layers down,
Yeah.
so that's a win.
Starting to look like a finished building.
Right,
Yeah.
I know.
Yep.
All right, I don't believe we had any items moved from the consent agenda.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Oh, yeah,
before we move
absolutely.
forward?
Yeah.
So obviously I'm still quite new on this board. I was just wondering, what are the actual dates of our fiscal year?
Yep, so we will restart July 1st.
July 1st.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you, sorry.
No, no problem.
And it's kind of hard, Grace, because our TIF doesn't expire until December,
Mhm.
but we restart, so we'll continue to capture and then, I mean, hoping everything stays the same.
Yeah.
But then we renew, so, I mean, our numbers could really change depending on how that renewal goes in December, but
Mhm.
this is so far.
Okay, I think all we have left are board member comments, and there's no public in attendance, so Pete, do you want to start us off?
Just looking forward to spring being here and going into projects and everything to help freshen things up, so. That's it.
Good job today.
Oh, thanks. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the warmer weather and all the things we could get accomplished in
Yeah.
spring and summer, and all the people being out again is a wonderful thing. Thank you. Grace?
Yeah, it's really exciting to see the placemaking projects really starting to come underway, and excited to see how that develops over the next couple of months, and looks like we're moving into new fiscal year, and just excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, I've never been more grateful for warm weather in my life. So, yeah.
Until
That's all.
today.
Until today, yeah. Okay.
No,
Something?
days like today make me grateful.
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Yes. Adjourned at 7:37.
Okay, that was the fastest meeting
I
ever.
know.